The Gigabyte Aero X16 is the second new notebook from the brand, now available back in South Africa. Gigabyte notebooks have been missing for a few years, but now they're back on the market and you can pick them up at various retailers. I've already reviewed the Gigabyte Gaming A16 gaming notebook, so be sure to check out that review on the channel too. I'll leave a link in the description down below. But this review is going to focus on the more expensive, beefier Aero X16 model. Beefier might not be the best term for it because some of the notebook models don't really come with the most high-end components, but the brand isn't asking for a fortune for it either. This model, however, is one of the higher tiered ones that you can pick up. It includes the AMD Ryzen AI 350 CPU combined with an NVIDIA RTX 5070 notebook GPU with an 85-watt power limit. There's a 16-inch 2560x1600 165Hz display, which is an IPS panel. It includes a 1TB SSD, 32GB of RAM, and various ways to upgrade the device thanks to the MT.M.2 SSD slot and the 2 DIMM RAM slots that can be changed for higher capacity. The Gigabyte Aero X16 looks like an Aero notebook. They have quite a distinctive style, and from the moment I started fiddling around on it, I could see the Aero inspiration all over it. Even if I haven't reviewed one in a few years, I still remember back in the day it was one of my favorite notebook ranges on the market. Design-wise, the notebook is made from a mixture of metal and plastic exteriors. The top cover is metal and features a sleek metallic finish. The rest of the notebook is plastic, however. While there's only one slate of metal, it does add a bit of premium flair to the device, which the Gigabyte Gaming A16 was kind of missing. Size-wise, the Gigabyte Aero X16 is 355mm long, 255mm wide, and 90mm thin. It weighs 1.9 kilograms. Ports here include a DC in port on the left-hand side, alongside an RJ45 port, HDMI 2.1, one USB Type-A 3.2 Gen 1 port, and a USB Type-C port with DisplayPort 1.4 and Power Delivery 3.0. On the right hand side, you'll then find a USB Type-A 3.2 Gen 1 port and a USB Type-A 2.0 port. You'll also find a 3.5mm audio jack combo port. The notebook includes two fairly decent 2-watt speakers that deliver some decent sound. There's a microphone too, which is great for those online meetings you might have to do using the 1080p RR webcam. There's also Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.2. Gigabyte has also packed a 76Wh battery into this notebook, which is charged with a 150W power adapter included in the box. The overall design of the Gigabyte Aero X16 is quite pleasing. It is strikingly thin and sleek. The top shell includes a metal cover with the Gigabyte logo, and the rest of the notebook is made of plastic. Gigabyte hasn't included any real gamer-centric design features here. Instead, the notebook kind of looks quite professional. Gigabyte has built this notebook with the new golden curved keyboard switches, which are also included in the Gaming A16 model. These switches provide quite an incredible typing experience with a tactile feeling and are very responsive. They make very little noise too, which makes typing on this device a dream. The keys are slightly larger than your average size keyboard, but they aren't overly large where I was mistyping keys because of brain memory compared to typing on my MacBook Pro. The trackpad here is also great. It is large and feels nice to use. Gestures are easy to pull off across Windows 11, and the general clicking and scrolling wasn't an issue at all. As for the speakers, they are okay. They are loud but don't really pack any real power, so instead of deep and detailed noise, they can get generally flat the louder they go. They'll do the job for daily use, but if you're looking for something more, you'll probably want to wear a headset or maybe pick up some Pebble speakers.
I would totally look at an RTX 5050 if it was in a notebook, but perhaps slapping this into my gaming PC, even if I was targeting 1080p gaming, just doesn't make sense.
Before I get into the performance metrics, I do need to talk about the panel. The 16-inch IPS display does the job and looks fairly decent. The 400 nits of brightness won't blow you away to any degree, but it gets the job done. There's obviously no HDR here, but content looked good and gaming looked even better. The refresh rate makes everything you do across Windows feel quite intuitive and look great. However, the display does suffer from some horrible light bleed across the panel. The corners of the panel all bleed, and it is worse when you move the lid. Sometimes even opening the lid, I could see the panel bleeding across the entire screen as it warps and bends slightly when it moves about. Granted, if you're watching content and gaming, the bleed isn't that noticeable, but if you're playing very dark games, you might spot it, especially in the corners of the panel. Then onto performance, the Gigabyte Aero X16, as I mentioned, includes an AMD Ryzen AR350 CPU combined with an NVIDIA RTX 5070. Altogether, they provide some decent power for games. The 85W power limit is quite restrictive, but that doesn't mean the notebook isn't capable. I tested a few games for this. For tests, I set Windows to performance mode and enabled game mode in the Gigabyte program, which I'm not going to try pronounce in this review. During tests, the GPU temperature peaked at 70 degrees Celsius and the CPU at 60 degrees Celsius. The GPU clock hit 2242 MHz and the CPU clock hit 4735 MHz. At max during stress tests, the fans peaked at 5400 RPM on the CPU and 5600 RPM on the GPU. These RPMs are quite high and you'll definitely hear it. These fans make a clear whistling noise that can be distracting. It is impossible to ignore, and throughout the day, this sound started to pierce through my ears. Granted that when doing daily tasks and Windows stuff, these fans remain deadly silent. The CPU tasks are handled quite well, and while moving about and launching apps, everything felt snappy and the fans never became a problem. However, any heavy tasks like gaming and rendering did turn the fans up and they are quite loud. With that being said, at least they do the job. With thermals in the 70 degrees Celsius peak, the fans managed to keep things under this load, and I guess the noise is worth the performance that you're getting here. As for the battery life on this unit, you're likely going to get around 90 minutes of gaming according to PCMark's gaming benchmark. However, daily tasks outside of gaming, you'll get much more of course. You can expect this notebook to last well into the 7 to 10 hour mark and beyond, if you're careful with the screen brightness and the tasks that you throw at it. The battery is okay, I guess. Altogether, the Gigabyte Aero X16 is quite a capable gaming notebook that does everything sort of well. I won't say that it excels in any department, but for what you're paying, you shouldn't expect that. Gaming at 1600p is solid with 60 FPS across most games, and things looked great. Granted, if you're looking at ditching DLSS, it will be a problem, but this RTX 5070 won't have an issue for the next few years. Even then, it means lowering resolutions down and enabling DLSS to compensate for more upcoming demanding titles. Altogether, it has an okay battery, decent speakers, and general good gaming performance. It does the job. I don't think there's anything wrong with this notebook at all. So those are my thoughts on the Gigabyte Aero X16. Be sure to check out my review of the Gigabyte Gaming A16 on the channel too. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Again, thanks to Gigabyte for sending these notebooks my way to review. While you're here, please consider subscribing for future content like this. Until next time, farewell.